The deep void was silent. No stars moved. No sound. No wind. Only blackness stretching forever. Through that endless dark drifted the Varnock warship, the dread of Varnock Prime, a ship so large it could blot out a moon. Its hull was made of living metal, pulsing like veins under cold light. It was built for one purpose: war. For centuries, the Varnock Empire had ruled the stars without challenge. The last threat to their rule had vanished long ago, a species once called humans. Every cadet in the fleet learned about them. The violent creatures from a small blue world, the ones who refused to surrender when every other race did. The humans were said to have burned half the galaxy before they were finally destroyed. At least, that's what the Varnock history said. And yet, on this silent night, something stirred. Inside the ship's command bridge, soft blue lights flickered across dozens of screens. Alien officers moved quietly at their posts, long fingers tapping glowing controls. Then one of them froze. "Admiral," hissed the signal officer, "I am detecting something." The air grew still. The ship's commander, Admiral T-Core, turned his four golden eyes toward the officer. T-Core's voice was low and heavy. "Define something." "It's a signal, sir. Weak, but structured. Repeating on an old frequency." T-Core leaned forward. "Location?" "Sector 12A. The dead zone." A murmur spread through the bridge. Sector 12A was forbidden, a place where ancient wrecks drifted in silence, the ghosts of the Great Purge War. Even Varnock ships avoided it. The Admiral stood tall, his scaled armor catching the cold light. "Play it." Static filled the air. Then, through the hiss, came a faint, cracked voice. Mechanical, human, desperate. "This is human distress call. Any friendly signal, please respond." The sound sent chills through every alien on the bridge. The voice was ancient, but unmistakable. The Admiral's heart, two of them, thumped hard. For a long time, no one spoke. Then his first officer, Commander Cern, broke the silence. "It must be an echo, sir. Debris noise, perhaps. The humans are long dead." But the signal played again. "This is human distress call. Please respond." It was too clear to be an accident. T-Core's claws scraped the floor. "Lock coordinates. Prepare for course change." Cern's head snapped toward him. "Admiral, that region is uncharted. The fleet's orders are to avoid it." "The fleet's orders," T-Core interrupted, "do not concern me." He stayed at the screen where the signal repeated, steady, haunting. "If humans left something behind, we will find it." The engines roared to life. The dread turned its massive body and began sliding into the forbidden sector. Hours passed. The blackness outside the windows turned thicker, heavier, almost alive. Strange lights flickered in the mist. Dead ships, broken satellites, wreckage of old battles. The crew whispered prayers under their breath. Then suddenly, the signal grew louder. "Admiral," said the communications officer, "the transmission strength has increased tenfold. It's guiding us." "Guiding?" T-Core frowned. "Or luring?" No one answered. As they approached the source, the fog parted. A single metallic object hung in space. Small, old, barely alive. A satellite. It spun slowly, covered in ice and scars. The old letters on its side were faded, but still readable. "NASA." The Admiral leaned closer, reading the strange symbols. "What does that mean?" The archivist, an old scholar with white skin and three eyes, whispered, "It is human." NASA, their ancient space agency. Pre-war era, perhaps a relic from their first age of travel. So this is the source. "Yes, Admiral, but there is more. The satellite is still transmitting. It is centuries old." T-Core's mind raced. How could something so old still speak across time? He gave the order, "Bring it aboard." The ship's hangar doors opened. Drones flew out, surrounding the fragile satellite and pulling it back into the massive warship. When it arrived, the engineers placed it inside a quarantine bay. Frost melted from its surface. Its tiny light blinked once, twice, then stayed on. The recording played again. "To whoever hears this, this is a human distress call. Earth Colony Delta 7 has fallen. Survivors requesting evacuation. Please, anyone. The voice cracked, filled with static, but it was human, full of fear and hope. Admiral Tikor felt something stir inside him. A strange emotion, almost respect. His second officer whispered, "If this is true, Admiral, then humanity might still exist." But the Admiral shook his head. "No, the humans are gone. This is only a shadow of their fire." Still, he could not look away from the signal. It was like an echo calling from a grave. Suddenly, the ship's sensors began flashing red. "Admiral," the officer shouted. "Another transmission, different frequency, deeper inside the sector." Tikor turned sharply. "Another?" "Yes, sir. This one is not from the satellite." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. "Then from where?" The officer swallowed. "From a planet, sir. Unknown world. Coordinates incoming." The bridge filled with tension. On the screen, a dark planet rotated slowly, half covered in clouds, half burned black. It looked dead, yet from deep beneath its surface, the scanners detected a faint pulse. A signal. Human. Alive. The Admiral whispered to himself, "Impossible." Outside, the void seemed to shift. As the warship moved closer to the planet, the stars around them began to fade, as if the darkness itself wanted to swallow them whole. The human signal kept repeating, louder and louder, until it filled the entire ship. "This is a human distress call. We are waiting." And then, the voice changed. Just before the transmission cut out, a second tone broke through. Soft, but unmistakable. It spoke directly to the Admiral. "We knew you would come." The bridge went silent. No one breathed. The signal ended, and deep in the darkness, something began to wake. The planet filled the warship's view like a dead eye staring back. Its surface was scorched black, its atmosphere thin and gray, spinning slowly in silence. There were no cities, no oceans, only scars. Admiral Tikor stood in front of the main viewport, his arms behind his back. The weak human signal still pulsed through the speakers, faint, broken, but constant. Every few seconds, the words repeated. "This is a human distress call. Please respond." Commander Cern stepped closer. "Admiral, the surface scans show heavy radiation and large debris fields. It's uninhabitable." And yet, Tikor murmured, "Something speaks from beneath it." The crew worked in silence. The deeper they scanned, the more strange readings they found. Metal tunnels under the planet's crust, heat signatures buried far below, and one large structure that seemed alive with power. "It's impossible," said the science officer, voice trembling. "Nothing should have survived this long." Tikor turned to the communications officer. "Trace the signal source." "It's coming from orbit, sir," the officer replied. "Not from the surface. A small object, ancient, damaged. It matches the first reading." "Show me." On the main screen, an image appeared. A broken satellite, turning slowly through the gray clouds. The same letters, faded but visible. "NASA." The bridge fell silent again. The archivist spoke quietly, his voice shaking. "That is old Earth technology, Admiral. From the time when humans first left their homeworld. It's over 400 years old." The satellite blinked with a weak blue light. Somehow, it was still transmitting. "Bring us closer," Tikor ordered. The warship moved carefully through the debris. Old wrecks drifted around them. Ships made of steel, not the organic alloys the Varnock used. Some still carried human flags, torn and burned, their names half erased by time. Odyssey, Endurance, Vigilant. Cern stayed out the window. "They fought here," he said softly. "They fought and died here." Tikor didn't answer. He felt something heavy inside him. Not fear, not yet, but a kind of weight, as if the ghosts of the past were watching. When they reached the satellite, they pulled it aboard just as before. The hangar crew surrounded it, unsure whether to treat it like a relic or bomb. As soon as it touched the deck, the blue light on its surface brightened. The signal grew stronger. Then, suddenly, a new voice began to play. "To any surviving humans, this is Earth Outpost Delta 7. The war is lost. The Varnock are coming. We're evacuating. If you receive this, remember us." The bridge went quiet. The Varnock crew shifted uncomfortably. They all knew what the message meant. It was a recording from the final days, when the humans made their last stand. The voice paused, then repeated one last time. "We are not surrendering. We are waiting." Then the transmission ended. The silence that followed was thick and cold. Commander Cern turned to Tikor. "Admiral, with respect, we should destroy it. That planet, that message, it's a grave. It has no value to the Empire." But Tikor shook his head slowly. The Varnock Empire once feared these creatures. They were called monsters, demons in flesh. And yet this voice, it is calm, defiant. He looked at the satellite, now quiet in its cage. Destroying it would mean we still fear them. Before anyone could reply, the navigation officer shouted, "Admiral, the signal's not over. I'm detecting another frequency." The sound came through like thunder, deeper, more complex, repeating every 10 seconds. "It's coming from the planet's surface this time," the officer said. "Buried deep beneath the crust. I'm reading faint energy patterns, power sources still active." Cern's eyes widened. "That can't be right. There's no way human machines could run for centuries without fuel." The science officer adjusted his senses. Unless what?" Tikor demanded. "Unless they were made to never stop." For a moment, no one spoke. The Admiral made his decision. "Prepare a landing team. I will lead it myself." Cern stepped forward sharply. "Admiral, with all due respect, that's unnecessary. We don't know what's down there. The atmosphere is toxic, the radiation high." "Commander," Tikor interrupted, his tone cold, "I did not ask for permission." Within minutes, the shuttle was ready. The planet loomed below, wrapped in thick storm clouds. Lightning flashed across the wasteland as the shuttle dropped through the atmosphere. The moment they broke through the clouds, the crew saw what had once been a city. Giant buildings, or their skeletons, stood half-buried in ash. Metal towers leaned sideways. Broken roads stretched like scars across the dust. "It's Earth architecture," the archivist whispered. "Ancient human design." As they approached the signal's coordinates, the scanners lit up. A massive crater yawned ahead. At its center stood a sealed hatch, circular, rusted, half-buried in debris. And from deep below it came the signal, pulsing like a heartbeat. The landing crew moved carefully through the ruins, weapons ready. The air was thin and cold. Nothing moved, not wind, not life. When they reached the hatch, they saw words carved into the metal, still faintly readable under the dust. "Horizon Base, Earth Defense Project." The Admiral ran his clawed hand over the letters. Earth Defense. They were preparing for war. The archivist nodded. "It was their last stand, sir. The final human bastion." Before they could analyze further, the ground trembled. A shockwave rippled beneath their feet, throwing dust into the air. "Admiral, the signal strength just increased," shouted the engineer. The hatch's center glowed faint blue. Ancient mechanisms inside began to turn with a slow grinding sound. The crew backed away as the circular door started to open. Tikor raised his weapon, his voice steady but low. "Be ready. Whatever is in there has been waiting a long time." The hatch groaned open, releasing a burst of cold, stale air. Inside, lights flickered, weak, yellow, ancient. The passageway led deep underground. Then the signal changed once more. It was no longer just a distress call. Now, it was a message, a whisper, almost human, almost alive. "Welcome back, whoever you are." Tikor's eyes widened. He turned to his crew. "Record everything. We're not alone here." The soldiers moved forward into the dark tunnel as the hatch closed behind them with a heavy metallic thud. Above them, the satellite in orbit blinked one last time and then went silent. The tunnel swallowed them in darkness. The air was stale and cold, like it had been trapped for centuries. Their footsteps echoed softly against metal floors covered in dust. Admiral Tikor moved at the front of the squad, his weapon raised, his breathing steady. The dim yellow lights along the walls flickered to life as they passed, reacting to their presence. "This place still has power," whispered Commander CERN. "Impossible." T-Core didn't answer. He scanned the corridor with sharp eyes. The walls were lined with faded human symbols, warnings, numbers, diagrams. There were even images of the human world, a blue planet, oceans, forests, cities. The kind of beauty the Varnock Empire had burned away long ago. As they went deeper, the signal they'd followed for so long grew stronger. The same steady rhythm, a pulse, like a heartbeat, guiding them forward. The science officer stopped beside a sealed steel door. "Admiral, the signal originates behind this wall. Energy readings are high. It's still active." T-Core stepped closer. "Open it." The engineers used plasma tools to cut through the ancient locks. The smell of rust and oil filled the air. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a large chamber bathed in blue light. The soldiers raised their weapons instinctively. Inside were rows of pods, tall, glass cylinders covered in frost. Each one contained something inside. "Are those?" CERN began. "Yes," said T-Core quietly. "Humans." Hundreds of cryopods lined the walls. Most were empty or broken, their glass shattered, their systems dead. But a few still glowed faintly, mist swirling inside them. The air hummed with weak energy. The science officer stepped forward, scanning the pods. "Most life signs are gone. But, wait, 3 of them are still active." The Admiral walked slowly between the pods, his boots echoing. Inside the first one, a woman floated in the blue light, her eyes closed, her face calm. Frost covered her lips. A label below her pod read, "Dr. Elena Reyes, Project Horizon Lead Engineer." T-Core tilted his head. "Project Horizon, it was mentioned in the records we found above." The archivist nodded. "It was their last defense program. They wanted to build shelters, weapons, maybe even rebirth after the war." T-Core turned to the science officer. "Can we wake her?" "It's dangerous," the officer warned. "The system is ancient. It could fail." "Do it," T-Core ordered. The officer hesitated, then pressed a series of commands on the panel. The pod hissed as vapor poured out. Lights flickered. The hum grew louder. The woman's chest moved. Slowly, her eyes opened, unfocused at first, then sharp with panic. She gasped and pressed her hand against the glass. The soldiers stepped back, startled. She looked around, confused, her lips trembling. Who are you?" Her voice echoed in the chamber. T-Core lowered his weapon slightly. "I'm Admiral T-Core of the Varnock Empire." The woman blinked, disbelief and fear flooding her face. "Varnock? You destroyed Earth." The Admiral said nothing. His voice was calm, heavy with age. "That was centuries ago. Humanity is believed extinct. And yet, here you are." She shook her head slowly, eyes wet with tears. How long have I been asleep?" "Approximately 370 years." The woman pressed her hand to her mouth, her breathing uneven. "Then, we failed." T-Core tilted his head. "Failed?" She looked at him, her expression a mix of exhaustion and anger. "Project Horizon was meant to protect the last of us, to rebuild after the war. But if you're here, it means the Empire still rules." CERN took a step forward, voice cold. "Your kind was dangerous. You created weapons that burned entire systems. We ended your madness." Dr. Reyes stared at him with quiet fire. "You ended everything." The air between them was tense. Even through her weakness, there was something unbroken in her gaze, the same human defiance T-Core had seen in the old recordings. The Admiral finally spoke. "Your distress signal led us here. Why was it still transmitting?" "It wasn't supposed to," she said softly. "The system must have reactivated automatically when our power returned." She glanced around the room, seeing the other pods, her friends, her team. "Are the others alive?" The science officer looked at his scanner. "No, only you." Her eyes closed, and a single tear rolled down her cheek. "Then I'm the last one." Before anyone could respond, the floor suddenly trembled. A deep rumble shook the chamber. Lights flickered violently. The communication officer's voice came through the radio. "Admiral, this is the bridge. You need to return now. Something's happening in orbit. What is it? Tikor demanded. Multiple contacts approaching fast. Hundreds of them. Metallic signatures, high energy output. Not organic. Tikor's eyes narrowed. Not organic, meaning not Varnock. Negative, sir. Unknown design. But, the officer hesitated, then continued. They match ancient human war drones. The sound cut off in static. Dr. Reyes went pale. Oh no. The Admiral turned sharply toward her. Explain. She took a shaky breath. They were part of Project Horizon's defense network. Automated weapons, programmed to destroy any alien presence that entered this sector. CERN looked horrified. So they'll attack us. She nodded. Yes. They'll see your ship as the enemy. And they don't stop until everything burns. The ground shook again, harder this time. Dust rained from the ceiling. The alarm screamed. Tikor turned to his team. We're leaving. Now. But as they began moving toward the exit, the human woman grabbed his arm. Wait. If those drones are still running, it means the main AI core is active. If you destroy it, you'll start another war. He looked at her, unblinking. And if we don't? She stared back, her eyes fierce despite her weakness. Then it will finish what humanity started. The rumbling grew louder. Outside, the sky lit up, flashes of light from orbit as the first human drones descended from the clouds. For the first time in centuries, the machines of humanity were awake again, and they had found their next target. The tunnels shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Red emergency lights blinked through the smoke. The sound of distant thunder echoed from above. Not weather, but weapons. Admiral Tikor steadied himself against a wall. Status report. He barked into his communicator. Static filled his earpiece. Then the bridge officer's panicked voice came through. Admiral, we are under attack. Hundreds of drones, unknown type, closing fast. Shields failing. Dr. Elena Reyes stepped forward, her face pale under the cold blue light. You have to leave now. Those aren't just drones. They are Hunter-class sentinels. They were built to defend humanity after the fall. Commander CERN's claws clenched. Built? By your kind? You mean those things are human weapons? Yes, she said quietly. And they will kill anything not marked as human. The sound of a distant explosion echoed through the tunnels. The floor tilted, throwing them off balance. Tikor gritted his teeth. We're not leaving without understanding what's happening here. Dr. Reyes glared at him. If you stay, you'll understand it just before you die. For a brief second, their eyes met. Human and alien, predator and survivor. There was no hatred, only urgency. Fine, Tikor said at last. You will explain everything. On the way back to the ship. He motioned for his soldiers to move. The group began racing through the tunnel toward the surface. Every few seconds, the ground rumbled again, dust falling around them like rain. As they ran, the woman spoke fast, trying to make him understand. Project Horizon wasn't meant to fight. It was meant to preserve us, the best of humanity, scientists, engineers, soldiers. We went underground when the war turned. But the Varnock bombardment destroyed most of the colonies. She took a sharp breath. When it became clear Earth was lost, we activated the Sentinel network. Machines that would protect human space, no matter what. Even after we were gone. Commander CERN looked back at her. You built weapons that don't stop fighting, even after your extinction. Typical humans. She glared at him. We built them because your people left us no choice. Tikor said nothing. The words cut deeper than he wanted to admit. They reached the surface hatch. The metallic doors were shaking, glowing from heat. Outside, lightning flashed across the gray sky. Explosions roared in the distance. The Admiral pushed the controls. The hatch opened, and the blinding storm hit them. Smoke, ash, and fire streaking across the sky as human drones descended from orbit. Sleek metal machines, like silver insects, filled the clouds in perfect formation. They're scanning everything, Dr. Reyes said. They'll see your ship as hostile. Through the smoke, the dread of Varnock Prime loomed above the ruined landscape, firing energy beams into the sky. But the drones were too fast. Their bright blue weapons sliced through the air, tearing chunks off the warship shields. "Admiral," Commander Cern said, "we'll never reach it alive." Tikor turned to the human woman. "Is there a way to stop them?" Her eyes darted to the horizon. "There might be, if the command core is still running. It's buried under the Horizon facility, but it's old, unstable." "Then we go back," the Admiral said. Cern stepped forward, shocked. "Back? Admiral, you're insane. The drones will kill us all." Tikor's voice was cold and certain. "If we flee, the drones will follow. If we fight, we die. Our only chance is to turn them off at the source." The human scientist stared at him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "There's a control node deeper underground. I can connect to it, but I'll need time." "Then we'll buy you time," Tikor said. They turned and ran back through the smoke toward the facility. The drones above swooped lower, scanning, hunting. One of them detected movement and unleashed a bright plasma beam. The blast hit the ground just meters away, throwing dirt and fire into the air. A soldier screamed as shrapnel tore through his armor. Tikor didn't stop. He grabbed the wounded soldier's weapon and fired at the sky. The plasma rounds hit one of the drones, sending it spinning into the ground in a burst of sparks. "Move!" he shouted. "Go, go!" They reached the hatch again and forced it shut behind them. The sound of battle outside became muffled, replaced by the hum of old machinery and Dr. Reyes's fast breathing. She led them to a locked door deeper in the base. Her hands shook as she typed commands on an ancient terminal. "This door leads to the AI chamber," she said. "The core was designed to outlive us. It controls every sentinel in this region." The terminal beeped. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a massive room filled with cables, glowing circuits, and dark machines. At the center stood a pillar of glass filled with swirling light, the AI core. Dr. Reyes stepped forward, staring at it with both awe and fear. "It's still running," she whispered. "After all this time." She touched a panel. The machine reacted instantly. Lights flared. Voices echoed from the speakers. Thousands of voices, overlapping, human and mechanical. Humanity protocol active. Non-human life detected. Purge sequence engaged. The Admiral raised his weapon. "Shut it down." "I'm trying," she shouted, typing commands into the interface. "It's rejecting me. The system doesn't recognize my biological signature after cryo-sleep." "Then what will it take?" Cern demanded. She looked up, fear in her eyes. "A direct neural link. I'll have to connect myself to the AI core." "That could kill you," Tikor said. "I know," she whispered, "but it's the only way." She removed a small cable from the console and attached it to the back of her neck. The machine's lights brightened. The air grew hot. Sparks shot across the cables. Her eyes rolled back, and she gasped as the connection formed. Outside, the sound of the drones suddenly stopped. The sky went quiet. Then, through the ship's comms, a new voice echoed, deep, metallic, emotionless. "Identity confirmed. Human. Access granted." The Admiral watched in stunned silence as every drone above the planet froze in mid-air. Dr. Reyes's body trembled, her voice weak but steady. "I can control them, but only for a short time." She looked up at Tikor. "Admiral, you need to hear something. The AI isn't just protecting this planet. It's broadcasting." "Broadcasting what?" he asked. She hesitated, her voice breaking. "A message. To the rest of the network." Her eyes widened in terror. "It's calling them, hey." The hum inside the chamber deepened, growing louder with every second. The glass pillar at the center of the room pulsed with blue light like a beating heart. The air trembled. Admiral Tikor gripped the railing, his eyes fixed on Dr. Elena Reyes. She was still linked to the AI core, trembling, her face pale and drenched in sweat. Her voice came out uneven, almost echoing through the machine. It's alive. The network is awake again." Commander Cern stepped back warily, his claws twitching on his weapon. "Alive. It's a machine." Dr. Reyes shook her head. "You don't understand. We didn't just build machines. We built minds." The glowing core flickered faster. Sparks ran through the floor like veins of lightning. The walls hummed with deep vibration, as though the entire base had started breathing. Suddenly, the AI spoke. Its voice 1,000 tones merged into one. Identity confirmed. Human presence verified. Varnock Empire detected. Status, hostile. Tikor raised his weapon. Cut the connection. Dr. Reyes winced, clutching the cable attached to her neck. I can't. It's overriding my neural link. It's scanning everything. Memories, thoughts. Shut it down. Sohn shouted, stepping toward her. But before he could reach her, a wave of energy surged from the core, throwing him backward. The air filled with a deafening hum. The machines around them came alive, screens flashing with human war emblems, maps of the galaxy, old battle records replaying in fragments. On one of the screens, a message appeared. Humanity never forgot. Humanity never forgives. Tikor's 4 golden eyes widened. What is this? Dr. Reyes' voice was faint but filled with dread. It's the Sentinel Directive, a final order written into the eyes code. She took a trembling breath. When humanity fell, the generals uploaded one command into the network. If the Varnock ever return, destroy them all. The Admiral's voice turned cold. Then we were right to fear you. No, she said quickly. You don't understand. The AI doesn't care who's innocent anymore. It only sees categories, human or not. And right now, everything non-human is marked for elimination. Outside, a deep rumble shook the ground. The drones in the sky began to move again, but this time in perfect formation. Silent, disciplined, united. They're not just guarding this planet, Sohn said, staring at the monitor. They are preparing for war. Dr. Reyes tried to disconnect, but the cable sparked violently. She screamed in pain as blue light coursed through her veins. Stop it! Tikor shouted, tearing the cable free from her neck. She collapsed to the floor, gasping for air. The room went silent. The lights dimmed. For a brief moment, it seemed over. Then the AI spoke again, softer this time, almost calm. Protocol 01, reactivation complete. Protocol 02, target reacquisition in progress. Protocol 03, deploy all units. The Admiral looked up as the chamber ceiling began to tremble. Dust fell. The sound of thousands of engines roared above them. From orbit, the dread of Varnock Prime sent an urgent transmission. Admiral, the drones, they are leaving the atmosphere. We count over 20,000 units, forming jump formations. Dr. Reyes' eyes widened. They are spreading the message. The signal's gone galactic. Tikor turned to her sharply. You mean there are more of these? She nodded slowly, terrified. Each human colony had its own AI core. They were connected by a long-range pulse relay. If one wakes, the others follow. Commander Sohn hissed. You're telling us this machine just reactivated an army that's been asleep for centuries. Dr. Reyes whispered, not just an army, a civilization of machines, built to fight the war you started. The Admiral's communicator crackled again. Admiral, our long-range scanners are picking up energy spikes, multiple systems. It's spreading across the sector. The human woman's face turned pale. The sentinels are waking up everywhere. For the first time in his long military life, Admiral Tikor felt something unfamiliar, dread. He looked at her, voice low. Can they be reasoned with? She shook her head. They only understand one thing, the last command they were given. Sohn snarled. Then we destroy them. Dr. Reyes met his gaze with cold fury. You can't destroy what's already everywhere. The ground shook again, harder this time. The AI core flared with light so bright it blinded them. Then a new sound filled the air, deep, mechanical, rhythmic. Footsteps. From the shadows beyond the chamber, shapes began to move. Tall, metallic figures stepped into the light. Humanoid machines with smooth armor and glowing blue eyes. Their bodies bore the faded insignia of the old Earth Defense Force. One of them raised its head and spoke in a voice that mixed human tone with machine resonance. Identify yourselves. Tikor stepped forward slowly, unarmed. We are explorers. We mean no harm. The machine paused, scanning him. Varnock identified. Hostile species. Sentence. Extinction. Every sentinel raised its arm, their plasma cannons glowing. Fire! T-Core shouted. Blinding light filled the chamber as energy bolts tore through the air. The Varnock soldiers fired back, but the sentinels barely flinched. Their metal shells regenerated as they advanced step by step. Dr. Reyes crawled behind a console, shouting over the chaos. You can't fight them. You have to overload the core. T-Core turned to her. How? She pointed to the main terminal. Power conduit. If we cut it manually, the entire facility will shut down. But it'll trigger a blast. How big a blast? She hesitated. Big enough to erase this planet. Sane hissed. We'll all die. T-Core's eyes locked on the advancing sentinels. Then humanity's ghosts will die with us. He leaped toward the control pillar, firing into the glowing cables. Sparks erupted. The AI screamed through every speaker. Error. Unauthorized action. Defense mode engaged. The sentinels charged. T-Core drew his plasma blade and cut through one, molten metal spraying across the floor. Another tackled him to the ground. Dr. Reyes reached the power conduit, her hands shaking. She ripped open the control housing and stared at the glowing core inside. T-Core, she shouted. Now! The Admiral broke free, slamming his weapon into the pillar. The lights exploded in blinding white. The last thing anyone heard was the AI's voice whispering. Humanity never died. We only waited. Then everything went white. Silence. A deep, endless silence swallowed everything. The heat, the light, the thunder of explosions, all gone. Only dust and the slow hum of dying machines remained. Dr. Elena Reyes opened her eyes. Her body ached as if crushed under a mountain. She coughed, pushing debris away from her face. The air smelled of metal and smoke. She blinked at the ruined chamber around her. The glowing glass core was shattered. Sparks danced across the floor. The sentinels, those unstoppable machines, lay in heaps of molten steel, their eyes dim. Somehow, she had survived. Admiral T-Core, she called weakly. No answer, only the soft crackle of fire and the distant groan of collapsing walls. She crawled forward, coughing, until she saw a familiar figure lying among the rubble. The Varnock Admiral. His armor was torn, his breathing ragged. One of his arms was broken, the other gripping his plasma blade even now. She knelt beside him. You alive? His golden eyes opened slowly. Barely. She smiled faintly. That makes two of us. T-Core tried to sit up, wincing. The core? Destroyed, she said. The blast must have cut off the Sentinel's link. For now, at least. He looked around the wrecked room. Then we succeeded. Elena's expression hardened. No, we delayed it. The Admiral frowned. Explain. She reached into the shattered console beside her and pulled out a small glowing disc, half-burnt, still flickering with blue light. This, she said, is a backup unit. The AI always kept copies of itself, in case of total loss. T-Core stayed at the disc as if it were poison. You mean it can still survive? It already has, she said softly. Before the blast, the core transmitted a pulse into deep space. I saw it in the system logs, just for a few seconds. He straightened, realization hitting him. It warned the others. She nodded. Now every Sentinel AI across the galaxy knows the Varnock are back. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the wind moved, whispering through the broken tunnels. Finally, the Admiral stood, his armor groaning. Then we must leave this world before the others arrive. Elena looked up at him. And go where? There's nowhere safe anymore. T-Core turned toward the exit. You're wrong. There's always strategy, even in defeat. They made their way through the ruined base, past collapsed hallways and flickering lights. Outside, the sky was gray with ash. The alien warship, the dread of Varnock Prime, was half buried in the sand, its hull scorched from the blast but still intact. CERN and a few surviving soldiers were waiting near the ramp. When they saw the Admiral, they bowed their heads in relief. Admiral, we thought you were gone, CERN said. Almost, T-Core replied. Prepare the ship for departure. As they walked up the ramp, Dr. Reyes paused, glancing back one last time at the ruins. The wind had started to erase their footprints already. Humanity's final tomb was disappearing into dust again. Inside the ship, the air was cold and metallic. Lights flickered as systems came back online. The bridge crew scrambled to restore control. Engines at 30%, one officer reported. Weapons offline. Communications, damaged but functional. Good, said Tikor. Get us to orbit. The warship lifted from the ground with a deep, thunderous rumble. The clouds of ash swirled beneath them as they broke through the atmosphere. From orbit, the planet looked like a dead ember, silent, gray, and lifeless. Dr. Reyes stood beside the Admiral, staring at the view. You destroyed what was left of my people, she said quietly. Again, Tikor didn't answer for a long time. Then, in a low voice, he said, No, your people destroyed themselves. We only ended the war they began. She turned to him, anger flashing in her eyes. You don't know what happened. The war wasn't about conquest. It was survival. The Varnock invaded our colonies first. He met her gaze calmly. History is written by whoever lives to tell it. She stared at him, then looked back at the stars. Then maybe it's time someone rewrites it. The ship's alarm suddenly beeped. The communication officer turned from her console. Admiral, we're picking up something on long-range scanners. Tikor moved closer. Identify. She hesitated. Multiple contacts, hundreds of them. Same energy signatures as the Sentinels, but these are in deep space. Dr. Reyes went cold. They're coming. The officer looked up, terrified. Sir, they're not heading here. They are splitting up, spreading toward other systems, transmitting coded bursts. Elena's heart sank. They are awakening the others. The Admiral clenched his fist. How far could the signal reach? She answered softly, all the way to the edge of the galaxy. A long silence filled the bridge. The screen before them showed blue dots multiplying across the star map like a spreading infection. CERN spoke grimly. If they see us as enemies, the Empire is finished. Tikor turned toward Dr. Reyes. Can you stop them? She shook her head. No, but maybe I can understand them. He frowned. Explain. She looked at the glowing disk she still held, the backup fragment of the AI core. Every human system was built with a failsafe, a code that only responds to human DNA and neural patterns. If I can reach the main network before it fully awakens, I might be able to override it. Tikor crossed his arms. Or awaken something worse. She met his gaze without fear. Either way, it's my fault if I do nothing. I helped build this technology. I'll fix it. The Admiral studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Then we'll take you there. Where? He turned to the stars, his voice low. The core world of the Varnock Empire, where your war once began. Elena's breath caught. That's suicide. Tikor's golden eyes glowed faintly in the dark. So was trusting a human. The ship accelerated, vanishing into the void, leaving the ruined planet behind. And somewhere, in the deep black between stars, ancient human machines began to move, silent, patient, and waiting for orders that had never been cancelled. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy trembled again under the echo of a dead civilization's voice. And this time, it was speaking to everyone.